sometimes I struggle with figuring out like why I'm still writing for orchestra. But then the moment when I hear the piece for the first time is I remember why I'm doing this.
What's that feeling?
I know it sounds like very superficial, but it's just a lot of sound coming at you, you know? Like
it's acoustic.
Acoustic sound.
It's really cool.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
Like we're so used to hearing loud sounds, right? But it's all stuff that's coming out of speakers, you know, unless it's like a train horn or a car horn or something like that.
Subway screeching.
Yeah, but a loud sound that you created that's coming out of all these different instruments. I mean, there's nothing that compares to that. So besides all the institutional baggage that it has, the glacial pace of programming and figuring out how to get a commission going. I mean, it takes years with the orchestras, but it's always worth it. And every time I finish, I'm like, God, I can't believe I did that, but let's do it again. I don't know. You've written a few orchestra pieces, right? I mean, you did this one for Toronto. You did the one with the Chicago Composers Orchestra too, right?
Yeah, it was sort of more a chamber orchestra piece.
A little bit smaller, but still a lot of players. I mean, do you have that, like, what's your relationship like to that? I mean, is it similar to mine, or is there a different reason for?
Oh, like why I do it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think when I first started composing, I was kind of like, so I was at NYU with Julia Wolfe, and I was sort of like, you know, a lot of my kind of composers I look up to are like, you know, her and the kind of bang on a can universe people like Michael Gordon, David Lang, and then above them, and in the teacher role to them, like Steve Reich, and like he kind of talks publicly, I believe, about like not wanting to write for orchestra and kind of like the pain, like not being interested in that world and kind of like sort of disowning it a little bit. And I think so when I first started composing, I was like, oh yeah, orchestra sounds there. It's so institutional. It's so hard to like do anything creative with it. And then when I guess I got a chance to write a piece just for a reading session. So they just like rehearsed it like at school. I just got so excited about the sounds and just like it sort of feels like, I think if I had to like distill like what I'm most excited about in music, it usually is like the timbre or the quality of a sound and like sort of being able to like morph that and shift it. And I feel like because there's so many instruments in the orchestra and there's such a range of types of sound, it like really is like the richest palette to like do that, like to just kind of morph and transform sound. And so like I just realized how kind of exciting that was, that like just I think that's for me is a motivating thing.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm the same way too. Although sometimes I find myself getting lost in the process and I'm like, oh my God, like it just becomes like more like a puzzle than like writing music sometimes, because like, oh my God, I'm keeping track of these stabs until make sure the piccolo's breathed in this in this section. And then it kind of gets like almost like you're building something in a factory almost. You know, it could get kind of like that with orchestra, and then you kind of have to snap out of it and be like, no, remember there's a bunch of it's a human experience here, you know?
Right.
It's not, you don't have to be so anal about each staff and making sure. Sometimes you got to leave a little room for error, you know, in this kind of thing. And I feel like the older composers, I mean the dead composers that everybody plays now, had a little bit of that too, but a lot of the mistakes in the orchestration, things like that, I think got smoothed over time with conductors and things like that, and just different families of instruments. They know that Mahler piece, or they know that Tchaikovsky piece. They know, oh, he says mezzo forte there, but I really mean to play piano and stuff like that. I wonder how much of that is going on, because we have so much pressure when we get to the stand. Yeah. At that first, second rehearsal, right? Everything has to be perfect. Right. Notation, the blend, the dynamics, all that stuff. But I don't know. I don't think it was like, I have a very strong opinion that it wasn't always like this.
Oh, you think that there was more room for...
Yeah.
This is me balancing the different layers.
Yeah. I mean, how would they know? I mean, how would they know that this, like one flute against 10 violins sounds... How would they know what that sounds versus, you know, one flute and 5 violins? How would they know? Right. Unless they're around them constantly all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, with us, we have playback. We can figure out what certain things sound like, at least in time.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, when they didn't have computers or any of this stuff, or even access to going to the symphony hall all the time,
right?
How were they? So anyway, these are the kind of things that I was just wonder about.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me more excited to write more for the orchestra.